Welcome in to the HawgBeat Half Hour podcast. I am your host, managing editor of HawgBeat.com, Daniel Fair. I'm joined, as always, by basketball analyst Jackson Collier. This episode is sponsored by BetSaracen and as well as Rowback. There's only one way to describe Rowback: best fit, best feel. For those who aren't familiar with Rowback, they're completely changing the game with their incredibly comfortable activewear. Roback has released so many new items within their licensed game day collection, from everyday shorts or their Delta Performance pants are the perfect pairing as well. Use the code HAW20, it's HAW20, on Roback.com for a generous 20% off for all new customers. That's spelled RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off all performance polos, shorts, and more with code HAW20. Now that we have got that out of the way, we are one game into the regular season. The Razorbacks took care of business against the Southern Jaguars on Monday night at Bud Walton Arena. Final score 109-77. Darius Acuff scored 22. Trevor Brazil had a career-high 25 points as well as 11 boards. Malik Thomas scored 21 as well. A lot of fun stuff to get into talking about this game and looking ahead to this Michigan State matchup. But I want to get your temperature check. Jackson, how did you feel about last night?
Felt really good. Obviously it was great to see Arkansas come out and win so handily. I thought there were some things to take away, like that they didn't do well. I think that's one thing everybody wants to gravitate towards. You either want to look at the things they did really, really well or things they didn't do so well. And I'll start with some negatives just because, for the expectations of this team, everybody is expecting not necessarily perfection this early in the season, but people are saying, Final Four team, championship contender, maybe Elite Eight at worst, whatever those expectations are. They struggled to defend the 3-point shot. I mean, that was one thing I think you even brought up too, off the air and text messages that we had. I think Southern shot 50% from three last night.
44.4, and they had one guy that went 5 for 10 from deep. All of his makes were from three. I'm not going to pretend to know how I pronounce his first name. Last name was Ashodi. Was 5 for 13 from the field, 5 for 10 from three.
Yeah, and they allowed 12 makes. So Southern was 12 of 27 from three. So I think the fact that they got so many opportunities, so many looks, some of those are pretty deep. But Cal even mentioned in his post-game press conference, like, we got guys who are getting back on defense and just they keep running when the guy is stopping, trying to spot up for a shot. Some of the contests were kind of lazy and all that sort of stuff. And that's stuff that should get fixed, should be, film session effort and getting some of these guys out of some of their bad habits. Another thing, I thought some of the help side was a little aggressive, some over rotation or some guys jumping passing lanes, trying to get a steal, missing the steal, and then giving up a backdoor cut. Easily fixable. Shot selection offensively, I think some guys were taking some shots they didn't need to. Cal also addressed that, but that's just the bad. The good is everything else. Trevor Brazil, you love to see him come out and get a career high, game one of his senior campaign. Completely different from the Trevor Brazil we saw at the early portion of last year. I think you pair that with how well Malik Thomas and Darius Acuff performed again, because they were both high-level performers in the exhibition games. And so they come out, they show it's not a fluke. We can do it against competitions and games that actually count as well. I thought Nick Pringle played really well, and kind of a little bit of fall off from there. Some inconsistencies with some guys. Malik Ewan struggled a bit. I didn't think he played super well. Not that he played bad. He was just, I didn't think the effort was there. And I think Cal noticed a couple different times. I think he even got onto him for letting a rebound just kind of drop in front of him and not grab it. And he got benched pretty quick after that. Billy Richmond got in foul trouble. He's playing really aggressive, but these things happen. You take the good with the bad with Billy, especially when he plays with that sort of energy level. I really liked what I saw out of Isaiah Seeley. I thought he was playing with really good poise. Which, we praised Acuff and Thomas for playing great poise. That's not really something that's characteristic of typical freshmen. So the fact that Isaiah Seeley was able to do that yesterday, we've only seen him in 2 matchups so far. One of the exhibitions he didn't play against Memphis, but in 2 showings, he's shown that he can be pretty poised. So if that's something that they can get out of 3 freshmen, that's pretty solid. Has some stuff to work on defensively, but was willing to pass the ball and could score.
Yeah, I wrote about the 3-point shooting in my 3 takeaway story that ran this afternoon. Shout out, subscribe to HawgBeat.com, $1 for your first 7 days, and you can read all of our premium content there. But there were a few threes that Southern was able to get that the defense was pretty good. They were just able to make it over the good contest, and you can live with those if you're not giving up the easy ones. And the problem is they gave up too many easy ones, and that works against Southern because Southern is not they won the SWAC last year, but they're not the same level of competition that 3 weeks, even 5 days from now, Arkansas is going to see against Michigan State. Like the level of competition allowed you to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to do that much longer from here on out because the level of competition is going to jump, and you're not going to that 12 of 27 that they shot from 3, that very easily could jump up to 13 to 15 based on the level of athletes that they're going to be going up against after that. There was one that I noticed, and I don't remember at what point it was in the game. I put a note into my file on it, but there was a play where Darius Acuff basically just left his man, and I believe he was trying to go for like a backside steal. And he just tossed it right back to his man. His man hit a wide open 3, and Cal was pretty hot about that one. He was hot. I have never seen that man after a win be so upset about his basketball team. He walked into the post-game press conference and he just looked like pissed off. And so, you love to see that, right? Because you want, that's what you want. Even in a win or a loss, you always want to be able to get better. But I share a lot of the sentiments that Cal had. I mean, the effort level on defense, I thought it was sporadic at times. Like there were some times where there's like a 3 or 4 minute stretch where they're just getting after them, and they're just every loose ball, every hustle play that you could possibly make that Arkansas is getting after it. And then there were just times that they just kind of laxed off and kind of let Southern kind of dictate the flow of the game. And it's one of those things where it was a lopsided score. It's 109-7. But there was still a lot of things that I'm like, okay, I'm not going to call this a red flag yet, but it piqued my interest, and it's something that I'm going to pay attention to moving forward. I did think that I wish I would have seen Nick Pringle be a little bit more aggressive. He made the most of his opportunities. I thought he was really good on the boards. I thought everybody, all of the bigs outside of Malik Ewan were really, really aggressive, rebounding the basketball. I just wish I would have, seen Nick Pringle take the ball on the block and then just let the man eat, just get in there and pound around down there. But that's more of a nitpicky thing than it is anything else, because I think he worked with the flow of the game really well. You kind of already touched on the rest of the players. Trevin Brazil, one note that I have is 8 for 10 from the free throw line. That is a career high in getting to the line, and it's a career high in makes for Brazil. He talked about it after the game. He said that coach was just telling him to bend his knees, and I feel like that's something you should probably learn as a 9th grader. But hey, here I am recording a podcast, and Trevin Brazil is probably going to be playing professional basketball this time next year. So, but I thought that was notable because he's been such a streaky and albeit not great free throw shooter through his career. He's 52.9% free throw shooter last year. So to see him get to the line and be able to convert at the line, I thought was really good. But you kind of touched on all the players, just individually there. I will say Isaiah Sealy, I really liked what I saw out of him as well. It is worth noting that 3 of his buckets came in garbage time. There was Isaiah Sealy, all love for Isaiah Sealy, but he did race down the floor with 7 seconds left when all the walk-ons are in to get that final layup. So, take it with a grain of salt, but hey, you love to see guys make hustle plays like that. It doesn't matter how much time is left on the clock. After this game, we've got a massive matchup coming up on Saturday against Michigan State. But I want to get another bit of your thoughts on this, Jackson. After this game, are you more or less confident in the Razorbacks moving forward?
I think if I had to choose one between more or less, I'd choose more. I don't think I took away enough necessarily to be super confident in either one. But I think the fact that they won by 32 against a projected conference winner, even though it's the SWAC, but I mean, a conference winner is a conference winner. It's game one. They were without Carter Knox. I think that bodes well. The fact that Acuff was able to hit the shots that what he finished the first half, hit three threes in a row.
He did. All three of his makes from deep were in that final 3 minutes. He scored 14 of the final 16 points in the final 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a ridiculous stretch. And there's been videos floating around on social media, on Twitter especially, like, oh, you get the Darius Acuff heater where he just like pops off. And I think we witnessed that yesterday. So the fact that, okay, now we know that that's real in college basketball, that makes me feel a little bit better about that too. I think the backcourt, we have talked about, like, oh, it's a very good backcourt, one of the best backcourts in the SEC. It's one of the best backcourts in the country. You got Carter Knox, who didn't even play last night. Billy Richmond's gotten better. Acuff and Thomas, both fantastic. DJ Wagner didn't have his best shooting night last night. He's still, how many assists did he finish up with? 7 assists. He was 2 of 7 from 3. You probably don't want DJ Wagner taking 7 threes. Shot allocation needs to change a little bit there. A lot of his looks were open, but it's also the point of, like, was he open for a reason? Probably. But he's still 7 assists as your third-year point guard. Like, he's generating opportunities for other players. And I feel like playing in that reduced role, playing behind Acuff and Thomas, I think he's accepted it. And he's not necessarily forcing things that aren't there. I don't think he necessarily took a ton of bad shots. He was open, but he didn't hit them. But all that to say, yes, I feel better about the team after yesterday.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about the depth of the guards for Arkansas when, like, last year, DJ Wagner was arguably, like, probably the best guard on the team for a good bit of the season. And now he's option 3. Like, and that's not, and that's no disrespect to DJ, but it's the fact of the matter is that the other two guys are so much more polished, better scorers than DJ is. And DJ's got an absolutely, like, vital role as the veteran guy who's been around the block several times, and doesn't necessarily have to light up a box score every night to be effective. I will say a lot of those threes came kind of in garbage time in the last 5 to 7 minutes of the game. It seemed like they were he was just chucking them, man. It was kind of fun to watch because you're like, it's one of those, like, one of these is eventually going to fall, right? Like, seemed like that was kind of his mindset.
Well, and then it did, and Cal praised him for it in the post game, which I thought was cool too.
Yeah. And Cal told him he wanted him to be more aggressive shooting the ball. So I don't mind him taking those shots at all. And like I said, I think this team is deeper than last year's team. Last year, they played Lipscomb, which is another really, really solid mid-major program, and I believe it was only a 15-point win. So to come out and kind of dominate from start to finish, they fell behind 2-0 after the refs missed a travel. I went back and watched it like 7 times. He definitely traveled on that first field goal that Southern hit. And then, I mean, Arkansas never trailed again after that. So, all in all, it was a fun night at the Bud. I don't want to extrapolate too much from this one because, Southern did win the SWAC regular season last year, but they're still, it's still a bye game. I don't want to extrapolate too much from that, but it was good to see them win wire to wire, go up big, stay up big, and all that good stuff. Now, we did not talk about Carter Knox. So for those of you guys who didn't watch last night's game and you're looking at the box score and wondering where the heck Carter Knox was, he is dealing with a toe sprain, is what the UA told us right before the game started yesterday. HawgBeat had it on our message board. I believe it was yesterday morning at some point. Shout out Jackson Collier. But Cal said after the game, he basically has to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or he's not going to be able to play. And it's one of those situations. If it was any other team, or if it was maybe a different style of team, I wouldn't feel so apprehensive about putting him in there if he wasn't at 100%. And we're going to get to this in a minute, but Michigan State is one of those teams that just likes to, like, they're a football team on the basketball court. It is the way that Cal Perry described it last night. They're very physical. So it's obviously you'd love to have Carter Knox back, but I guess the way I would consider it would be day to day at this point. So we'll have kind of the most updates or the newest updates over on our message board, the Trough. Like I said, subscribe to HawgBeat, $1 for your first 7 days, and you can actually get all the information about Carter Knox in that $1 free trial. So, but moving on to Michigan State, Jackson, did you watch Michigan State Colgate yet?
I haven't watched it in full, and that's my homework for tonight and for the rest of this week. But I did get to see them up close and personal last year. I got to see them play Michigan last year. Obviously, this team is different, but they do return a few guys off that team. They return Jackson Collier, Jeremy Fears, Carson Cooper, and Cohen Carr. And those guys, that's a solid rotation coming back. And, like you were just saying, they're super physical. I mean, they are going to – I think Cohen Carr is one of those guys where he's an athletic freak. And they're going to try to get him going. They're going to try to get him going downhill. They're going to try to get him making plays because he's one of those guys who feeds on the energy plays that he makes. And they'll do that by trying to push Arkansas around a little bit, be extra physical, and try to push them out of the lane when they're defending. Carson Cooper is interesting. He was a reserve a couple years ago and last year. Didn't start at all last year, actually, but played a ton of minutes. And I think he was one of those true, like Cal mentioned, Arkansas has 7, maybe 8 starters this year. He was that for Michigan State last year. He never actually started a game, but he was a guy Izzo trusted. And if Izzo trusts you, that's huge. And he's starting this year, I imagine, as a fourth-year senior in the program. He'll start every game. He's healthy this season. Really big, really blue-collar. He has a really nasty drop step, and he's going to try. He keeps those elbows high, and he is going to try to just power his way up and through to get to the rim. Nick Pringle is going to have to defend really, really well, and he's going to have to not foul. And if he does, then Malik Ewan's going to have to really up his effort because that can probably be a huge mismatch in this game is Michigan State's interior presence. I guess that is one takeaway so far is, I do like Arkansas's front court on paper, but until Malik Ewan starts putting together his energy level and is kind of adopting a more physical approach, I am a little skeptical on the team's upside as a whole because you got teams like Michigan State, you got teams like Michigan, you got teams like St. John's, Duke, all these teams across the country with really formidable front courts. And as good as Arkansas's backcourt is, Cal even said it going into the season, you have to play through the front court. You have to play through the post. Cal's going to try to do it. Other teams are going to do it. That's my one area of concern. And I think Michigan State's going to be a good tell for Arkansas with how they are with their front court.
Yeah, Michigan State is one of those teams that will kill you on the boards. It had 19 offensive rebounds last night, 47 total. They out-rebounded Colgate 47-25. And Colgate is not a pushover necessarily. Arkansas knows that all too well from the NCAA tournament several years ago. And Colgate has just always been that pesky mid-major team. They love to shoot the three, and they were very effective shooting the three against Michigan State. 11 of 29 from deep. They shot 6 of 14 in the first half and then 5 of 15 in the second. Michigan State only led by 3 at halftime and then kind of opened things up. Jeremy Fears really wasn't a huge factor in the first half and then turned it on in the second half. It was one of those wins where I mean Tom Izzo was pissed after the post game. I believe the exact quote was something to the effect of, "We got a lot of stuff to fix, or our ass is going to get embarrassed on Saturday night." So one thing that I did notice though is Colgate did not get to the line a whole lot. Just 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Michigan State was 24 of 37, and Arkansas kind of lived at the free throw line. I mean, both last night and through the first couple exhibition games, and they were very effective when they got there last night. But getting in and getting to the line is going to be pretty impactful there. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts. I haven't done a whole super deep dive into Michigan State Colgate yet. That's going to be coming later this week. But it's going to be a fun environment. I will say the environment at the Breslin Center on television looked absolutely electric last night. I would expect absolutely nothing less with John Calipari coming to town. Calipari and Izzo have matched up 5 times in their careers. Calipari holds a 3-2 advantage. However, one of those wins was when he was at Memphis in 2008. So technically, it was vacated in the NCAA tournament. So technically, they're 2-2 against each other. But I mean, they've actually. The game happened. Memphis won. So it's a 3-2. This is the first time that he's been at the Breslin Center. All the other games have been either in that NCAA tournament game or in the Champions Classic. So between Kentucky and Michigan State. So it's gonna be a fun environment. Jackson, you and I will both be there as well, which I'm very much looking forward to. And so that kind of leads us to where we are now. Talk to me about Baba, because released a top 4 today, and I believe it was Arkansas, Kentucky, Georgetown, and there's one other. I don't have the graphic in front of me.
Maryland's the 4th.
There it is.
Baba Oladotun, 5-star prospect, recent reclass. I think reclassed back August or September, maybe, from the class of 2027 to the class of 2026. Recently completed his Arkansas visit. Had a full-length interview that I published an article on with his dad, recapping the Arkansas visit. So if you're subscribed to HawgBeat and you haven't read it, go read it. A lot of good stuff in there, including Calipari meeting him at baggage claim, picking him up in a white Bentley. It was just, they were gushing over that. That was kind of fun, but really great stuff. They loved the visit. And initially in this interview I did, his father, Ibrahim, told me that, he's going to schedule a couple more visits. They're going to finish all their visits. And then, they'll go from there in terms of a decision timeline, cutting a list, all that sort of stuff. Ended up cutting the list, and some of the teams that he was talking about potentially visiting aren't on that list. So I assume that means they will not be taking any more visits. And I also assume that means that we could be nearing a decision. I don't know that for sure. Posted a full update on what I've been hearing so far on our HawgBeat message board. We'll see where things land. I kind of like where Arkansas is sitting right now, but to be determined. A lot of things in the air. Maryland has Buzz Williams. Georgetown's the hometown team. Kentucky is still Kentucky. But they're pursuing Tyron Stokes for kind of a similar spot. So we'll see where things end up there. I think if Arkansas does end up landing Baba, it is a huge, massive recruiting win for Cal. Cal actually flew out to visit him today. I texted with Baba's dad for a little bit today talking about that. That information is also on our HawgBeat message board, talking about, what that meeting was like, what they were talking about and all that sort of stuff. But I think if he does end up a Razorback major win, not anything guaranteed yet, I wouldn't say.
Okay. I do want to ask about Georgetown, because they picked up a commit from Alex Constanza last week. They're kind of the same position. Do you feel like that might throw Georgetown out of the mix, or maybe push them further down?
I wouldn't say they're out of the mix yet. I think that does make things a little tricky, but I also think, Baba's the type of player where you kind of just take them and try to make it work regardless. Obviously you have to pitch it to him as well. So maybe from that point of view, who knows, but a lot of these players are so confident in their abilities too. They don't really care. I think that's one thing that's kind of surprised me of late is some of these top players. Yes, they're looking at how things shake out. They're looking at, what other players are committing to other schools. But a lot of times their bigger concern isn't their fellow classmates, like their peers. It's like transfer portal or who's going to come back and not leave? Like, who's not going to go pro? It's the more experienced guys that are kind of what their pulse is more on. So I wouldn't necessarily remove Georgetown from the equation just yet. Like I said, I think I do like where Arkansas stands right now. I would probably say if there was a team that was giving Arkansas the biggest run for its money for Baba, it would be Georgetown.
Good deal. Yeah, when Bobby was on his official visit, it was the weekend of that Cincinnati exhibition, and the student section did break out into a "We Want Baba" chant, which with him right on the other side of the court. So that should it doesn't hurt, that's for sure. When your family
they loved that. He and his dad were giddy about that. So shout out to the student section, shout out to the fans who were there because they couldn't believe it. They were like, wow. And I think one of the most impressive things to them was the fact that the student section brought signs that were like made up, like not just like handwritten, but like printed signs that had Baba's name spelled. And they were like, and it was spelled correctly. And so just completely awesome visit for them. And, really kudos to the Arkansas fan base and the student section for that as well, because I think that played a huge part.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap us up today. We are the HawgBeat Half Hour, and we are at 26 minutes now, so we're keeping it under a half hour. We went over last week, so
giving them their time back.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you take that time and you use it wisely. Don't spend it all in one place. Anyways, all right. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, and we will see you next week. Arkansas, Michigan State tips off at 6 o'clock, I believe, Central Standard Time. Central Daylight. I don't know how that stuff works. Central Time. I don't know if it's daylight or standard right now. I know it's one or the other. But the kickoff or tip off, at 6 o'clock Central Time. Game is going to be broadcast on Fox, which I don't think I can remember the last time Arkansas has been on a Fox channel. It's been a minute, if it's ever happened at all. So that's another first, but we'll leave it there, and we will see you guys next week.